Welcome back to another team preview. Today we're going to look at Our Motorsports in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, our first Xfinity team preview. I'm Casey Campbell, and that's RJ Starcevic from the NASCAR Report on Instagram. How's it going?
Doing good, man. Excited to talk about our motorsports. I'm really excited about this team, the outlook for it. I got a three-car organization. We'll dig into it right now.
Yeah, of course, Our Motorsports, of course, they were a two-car team. Lots of stuff happening with them. And towards there, Brett Moffatt returns to the 0-2. And then the interesting names, of course, Jeb Burton, of course, is going to be in the 27 car. Of course, of course, his dad Ward ran in the 27 car for the, oh God, what was it? I don't even know. But I know it was one of the team. It was one of the teams back then. It was I can't remember it. Yeah, whatever. And then of course the biggest surprise of them all was Anthony Alfredo going to the 23. The reason why it was a surprise, and we'll get into it later, that deal was put together very, very quickly, and we'll get into that in a minute. But overall, Our Motorsports going to not one, not two, but three cars?
Big move for the organization in a series that has a lot of teams in that area, that general mid-pack area. Well, A minus teams expanding. And we saw a lot of speed out of Our Motorsports last season with their drivers. They had a lot of slick drivers in the 23. Tyler Reddick coming in there racing for him. Ty Dillon did some races. Blaine Perkins, Tanner Berryhill. I mean, they had a big selection of drivers come and race in addition to Brett Moffatt full-time in the O2. But their driver lineup this year, there's a saying, it's better for people to look at you overperforming in an underperforming car than underperforming in an overperforming car. That makes sense. If you could tie those things together. When I look at the two drivers that they brought along here, Jeb Burton ran Colleague Racing last year, did get the win, but not people necessarily were expecting a little bit more out of in a Colleague Racing car. Anthony Alfredo coming from the NASCAR Cup Series last season. Some people probably expected more. Rookie year probably didn't go as well as he hoped. Now he's in the Xfinity Series, and places where I really think Jeb Burton and Anthony Alfredo need to be and can excel. Anthony Alfredo, this is going to be like his only second full-time season, I think, in NASCAR's ranks at all, besides his full-time Cup season last year. When he ran Xfinity, he was part-time for RCR, did well in his starts. Now he has a full-time opportunity. Same thing with Jeb Burton. He's going to be on their team. I think an opportunity for him to perform, prove his worth. And then the guy that returns, Brett Moffatt, who last year didn't start off the year running for Xfinity points. I thought it was one of the most missed opportunities of the year. It was so weird. He started truck points and then he converted over. I was like, man, what if he started with Xfinity points? Where would if he, stacked up, as far as the season went? But we know all three of them are going to be running for Xfinity points next year. We know Brett Moffatt, Truck Series champion. Very good lineup. I really am excited about that team for next year. Definitely one of my favorite silly season announcements.
Yeah, that was. I remember that was a crazy. Let's start with Anthony Alfredo, and I got a chance to talk to Anthony literally hours after the announcement at the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and he told me that this deal was put together very quickly. Like, it wasn't finalized until the day before the expected announcement. Obviously, they had some. I know they had to do some scrambling with a bunch of guys and doing all that. And let's not get into that. But overall, this is a good move for him because we knew that he was. I mean, obviously, we knew that he wasn't going to be back in Front Row Motorsports for this season. But this is a good move for him to be back in the Xfinity Series, back full time with a really, really good team, really a team on the rise, and that's going to really help him.
Yeah, he needed something like this, I think, for sure, just experience. And we know Anthony Alfredo's a talented driver, but was he ready for the Cup Series last year? That was the question that needed to be answered. Now he finds himself back in the Xfinity Series. I think a perfect move for him as a driver and a team, like you said, a team on the rise. This team has been on the rise as of late, running in the Xfinity Series for the last few years. I mean, they made a big jump. They jumped from ARCA, hopped in the Xfinity Series. We knew kind of where they were starting to get their equipment. Their equipment continues to get better. Their drivers continue to get better. Their resources continue to get better. And now a season that's going to be more competitive than ever. They got 3 full-time drivers that I think they are definitely expecting to grab their first trophy some point this season. And could Anthony Alfredo be one of them?
Yeah, and of course, going back to Alfredo, he's going to have a very experienced crew chief on top of the box. Pat Twyson, of course, that's a name that a lot of people know, has been on the box for a lot of people. Most notably, of course, it's Mark Martin's crew chief, I think, back in 2003, 2004, back in those days. But yeah, it's he's been on the box for a long time, and I think he's going to really. It always helps to put a young driver with a veteran crew chief on the box. So it's definitely it's definitely good. So that'll be good there. But Jeb Burton, of course, ran for Colleague in 2021. Put this deal together. That he said he had something, and then of course he also signed a multi-year deal with the team. So of course he's driving the 27. That's of course when Ward Burton ran those, and I think it was maybe the PBC Racing Days or something. I'll have to look that up. But I think it was a good signing to see Jeb go to that team and really, I think, kind of perfect his skills, because until last year, Jeb Burton was kicking and scratching and trying to get rides. I mean, he was in and out, and now I think he's finally found a stable situation with Our Motorsports. He signed a multi-year deal, so he knows what he's doing, at least the next few years.
Yeah, multi-year deals is something that we didn't see too often, but we've seen a few of them this year in the Trucks and Xfinity series. Grant Enfinger being one of them in the Truck series, signing a multi-year deal there, and now one of them in the Xfinity series being Jeb Burton, multi-year deal with Our Motorsports. And so I look at this as kind of a Myatt Snyder-esque move. You got Jeb Burton and Myatt Snyder, who are both in cars where people could consider championship caliber race cars. Did get a win in the season, but didn't really have anything else that season. You were kind of looking for more speed from the 10 team and the 2 team last year. And we know Myatt Snyder jumps over to Jordan Anderson Racing. Really, I think great move for him to show what he's capable of in a little bit of a smaller team, but not too small of a team. He's still going to be able to do some things, get some great runs. Same thing for Jeb Burton. He moves to Our Motorsports. A lot of people were doubting what he could do in the Colleague racing car last year. So he wants to go and prove himself yet again in an Our Motorsports car and a multi-year deal. He knows what he's going to be doing the year after. He's going to build a foundation there at that team. I think it says a lot about their team too, to be able to sign a driver to a multi-year deal, a team that didn't really know what they were going to do last year. Were they going to run 1 or 2 cars, or, second car was kind of part-time. Now they have 3 full-time drivers, and one of them's on a multi-year deal. So I think that's really good for the team. But Jeb Burton, definitely another one of those drivers who wants to prove himself.
Absolutely. When you look at when you look at a lot of these teams and really looking at Jeb Burton, what do you see that his season's going to be like this year?
I think a consistent season. We saw that a lot with Colleague Racing. While, he didn't really live up to the chasing trophies mentality over there at Colleague. Did get a trophy at Talladega on the rain delay, but he was consistent throughout the season. He did have a consistent year. He was able to run consistently, maybe not in the top, 3. You're not contending for wins, but he did have a consistent season to where he put himself in a good spot in the points. And I think that's what Our Motorsports is definitely going to need. Obviously, they're not going to want to wreck too many cars early in the season. They're just going to want some consistent runs, stay up there in the points, and just be up there, for something to happen. It's going to be a wild year next year. You're not having you will have the defending champion, Daniel Hemrick, on a different team. No Austin Cindric in this series next year. I think it's wide open for anybody to really go up there and put their foot down as the top contender in the series. Don't know if it'll be an Our Motorsports car, but I think they definitely have what it takes to get up in that playoff mix and be a contender to maybe go deep in the playoffs. But I know for sure, at least qualify for it. I think consistency is the key next year for them. Yeah,
for sure. All right, let's talk about Brett Moffatt. This is, I think, of course, he's in the 0-2 car for Xfinity. Of course, he was supposed to be in that. He was going to be in that car last year as well. But this is, I think, the first time he's, fully focused on this ride alone. Remember, he was also, started the year in the 45 truck for Nice Motorsports, and we all know declared for truck points and then switched to Xfinity points midway through the season. Now he's just focused on Xfinity. what's that going to be like for him? And there's going to be a lot of life changes for him because he's also expecting he's going to become a dad in literally in a few weeks.
Yeah, defending Truck Series, or not defending, but former Truck Series champion in Brett Moffatt, and has kind of been hopping around a little bit as of late. Being at the GMS truck program and then kind of finding a home here at Our Motorsports in the Xfinity series. I think it's definitely a series that fits him perfectly. And I think a team that fits him perfectly as well. I mean, we saw him have a lot of good runs last year. He was running up in the top 5 at some racetracks where you didn't really expect. I mean, he could have almost won Homestead when you really think about it. I mean, they were so close. Obviously they didn't anticipate with what happened to Noah Gragson happened. But they skimmed the wall trying to run down Gragson, had to pit. And almost as soon as they did that, Gragson got wiped out of the race. And Myatt Snyder was able to win that. But Brett Moffatt, I mean, he's going to be the guy. He's going to be the leader of the team. He's the face of the organization right now, being there for a few years now. And I think just only upside from this team. I mean, they're on the rise and haven't had a driver made the playoffs yet. And they got three chances to do it. And who knows? I think they could put all 3 teams in the playoffs. I don't even think that's out of the question whatsoever, but it's going to be tough to do. But Brett Moffatt, for a year where he didn't really know where he was points wise, didn't really get to chase any championship, I think he's hungry this year for sure.
Forgot to say, Chad Walter will be the crew chief for Jeb Burton, and a familiar name to Truck Series. If you watch the Truck Series, Jeff Hensley will be the crew chief for Brett Moffatt. So, as I mentioned earlier, Pat Tryson will be the crew chief for Anthony Alfredo. So let's just take a broad look at Our Motorsports. How do you see that team doing? Because Chris Auer has put a lot of resources into this team.
Well, like I said, very competitive in the Xfinity series next year. You got a lot of teams with a lot more alliances, teams getting better equipment. Seems like everybody's just getting better, but I think the broad look for Our Motorsports is to get all 3 teams in the playoffs. And I think if they can do that, I think it's a success for them. Get all 3 teams in the playoffs, get a trophy. They want to win. They want at least one win. When you have 3 drivers of that caliber and you're putting that much resource in the team, they want a trophy at some point this season. So I think if they don't get one, they'll probably think that they failed during the season, but I'm definitely looking for a consistent season out of all 3 drivers. I think playoffs for all 3 drivers, and I think at least one win between the 3. I don't know who it's going to be, but I think 1 win or 2 wins for the team throughout the season. Consistency.
That's a bold prediction there, RJ. You got 4 junior motorsports cars. You got those 2 RCR cars. You got those 3 Colleague cars. Then you got those 2 Gibbs cars. Then you got the Stewart Haas car too. And plus you got all those, you got the 51, you got Ryan Sieg, you got, who knows what could happen. And who knows what could happen, but Our Motorsports is definitely going to be a team to watch.
Yeah.
In the
I'm looking for guys to prove themselves. I'm looking Jeb Burton, and Anthony Alfredo. I'm looking for them to prove themselves this year. We know what Brett Moffatt can do. New teams for Jeb Burton and Anthony Alfredo. Are they going to prove this? Are they going to put themselves in the playoffs? Can they put themselves above one of these teams, one of the junior motorsports programs, one of the colleague racing programs? Is that possible? Could they do it on points?
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what's going to be happening more of these team previews will be, if it's not RJ, it'll be somebody else. But we're gonna try to preview a lot of teams heading into this weekend. We got a lot. We got 6 more weeks to really kind of get through all this, and then we're talking about a lot of teams this week. So it'll be fun. All right, stay tuned. More of these previews to come.